Well, it's 5:30. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Want to thank everybody who is here in person, who is tuning in, streaming on the internet, and what we hope will be people take the opportunity to watch this video online. It will be on the League of Women Voters website, and Charter has agreed to rebroadcast these. I'll mention the rebroadcast dates now and at the end, and we've also, the dates and times are on the podium here, and they're also on the table out front. So please make a note of them. If you know people who want to watch, that makes it kind of handy on their cable TV. That'll be channel 19. So this is the Forum for County Commissioner. My name is Marguerite Herman. This is being presented by the League of Women Voters of Cheyenne. We've done this in previous years, haven't had a candidate forum for a couple of elections, so we're getting back into the groove again. We have 13 candidates running for Laramie County Commissioner for 3 open seats. And we've had one person drop out, reduce the field to 13. 2 people will not be here tonight to participate, so we have 11 candidates. And what we've decided to do is break it up because of just the logistics. As you can imagine, we'll do 6 candidates in the first group, 5 in the second, and we will ask them the same league questions, and then we will have questions from the audience that may vary from group to group, but everyone will have a chance to answer the questions that the league has written. And then we haven't really formalized plans, but I think what we'll be doing is a voter's guide in writing online. And so questions, if you submit questions and they haven't been used tonight, we will draw upon them for our online voter's guide. So no questions will go to waste, so to speak. So when we may consolidate questions tonight just for the ease of getting the information to the voters, get the questions before the candidates. So briefly, the League of Women Voters, we are political, but we are nonpartisan. We don't endorse candidates. We don't get involved in that piece of the process. We do sometimes advocate for certain issues if our study and our consensus leads us to that position, but we are completely nonpartisan. Our attempt here is to help these candidates get their messages to the voters and help the voters understand the candidate so that on election day, which is August 19th for the primary, early voting starts Thursday, they can do it, as we say, be informed and vote. And up there in the banner you can see our email, lwvcheyenne@gmail.com, and the wyominglwv.org is our state league website. That's where these forums will be posted. So and I will just briefly mention the rebroadcast dates. Again, they're posted there and on the table out front. Okay, they will be for the forum tonight for Commissioner, Saturday, June 12th at 11 a.m. Tomorrow, we are having the forum for District Attorney, County Clerk, and Sheriff. And that will be rebroadcast on Sunday, July 13th, also at 11 a.m. Then on Thursday, we are having the third of our county election forums. That's the legislative races, all the contested races, not all the races, but the ones that are contested. And that will be rebroadcast on Charter Channel 19 on Tuesday, July 15th at 6 p.m. And again, we will have these posted on our State League website, and so you can go back if you missed something and you want to go back or you want to say to a friend, please watch this, you know where to go. So what I'll do is go ahead and also, and for the benefit of everyone here, I know the candidates, we've told them, the way we're organizing it is everybody has a 2-minute introduction, and they can use it any way they want to tell about themselves, and hi there. Not a problem. And so we hope that they'll just cover some basics about who they are, why they're running. Then the questions we'll have a minute and a half to answer, and we will have a timer. Debbie Lathrop is going to be our timer tonight, league member, and she will hold up cards to show when timing gets down to 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and the shocking pink card says stop. And so candidates, we hope that you will, out of your periphery, will keep an eye on those cards so when the time comes that you will stop. And there will be 2 minutes closing, which can be used, again, any way the candidates want to sum up, to respond to something else, to cover something that wasn't covered, any way they want those 2 minutes. And depending on how it goes, I think what I'm going to try to do, if there is time, is to allow, if someone has, after the 5 have answered, the 6 have answered, that if there's something to respond to a candidate who has said something, a very brief 15-second opportunity. And what I'll do is ask the candidates, if all have had their initial response time, if you do have something you want to add, especially in response to someone else, raise your hand, and we'll give you 15, 20 seconds to go ahead and make that comment. Because with 5 up there, we have a lot of diversity of views and reactions to each other, and we don't want to lose that in this forum. So, are there any questions? I think it's all been pretty clear as we go along. Okay, thank you. All righty. Oh, and I guess just to add, the questions from the audience, we have 3x5 cards that league members are passing around. If you have a question, write it down and give it to the league members, and then we will sort through those and consolidate. If 2 or 3 are on the same topic, we may ask them together, that sort of thing. And as I mentioned, if we don't get it tonight, we'll try to get to it on the written voter's guide. So thank you. All right, proceeding with, and I don't have a luck of the draw, so we will alternate, beginning with Mr. Hasenauer's on the left, and we'll start with him, and then the next round we'll start with Mr. Hansen, and so on and so forth. So, starting with Mr. Hasenauer, here's your 2-minute introduction statement.
Yes, Margaret, thank you so much for the League of Women Voters having this forum tonight. Some of my objectives for running for county commissioner is always to get people involved in local government, and the Women League of Voters are doing the same thing here tonight, getting to know the candidates and what our vision is for Laramie County. I'm a constitutional conservative, disciplined conservative. I feel like the 2 years that I've served as county commissioner has been a learning curve, but also some things that we put forward that we can hang our hat on. We have always tried to represent the will of the people, and that is to get as many people involved in government, hear what their views are. You know, it's often said if we stand up, we're real men. But I think we need to first sit down and listen to the people and understand what the concerns are in Laramie County. We've got a lot of economic development going on. We've got a lot of issues with water restrictions in eastern Laramie County. The 2 years that I've served here in Laramie County, I think gives me the experience I need to move forward and go for the 4-year term. You know, it's a lot to be said when you got smaller communities too that also need the assistance out there. Be always willing to work with them and give them their fair share and give them what they need. Roads seems to be always an issue for Laramie County, and Public Works does a great job. Yeah, I think if we ever get any more money from the state, we need to allocate it in material, not personnel and not machinery. We need to get our roads graded by allocating that funding for gravel. I think there's a great opportunity and a lot of good things that lie ahead for Laramie County. Thank you, and I appreciate everybody's vote.
Thank you, Mr. Hasenauer. Next, Mr. Art Hansen.
First of all, I apologize for being late. I've got a meeting in Casper. I've got to leave here and be in before 9:30 tonight. But again, I do apologize for being late for the meeting. My purpose in running for county commissioner or signing up as a candidate to become a county commissioner is singled out. I ran 2 years ago. Those of you that know me know my qualifications. But I really want to help the people, the residents of Laramie County, by providing them with 3 quality candidates that have the knowledge and the people skills to work with the 2 existing candidates or 2 existing commissioners that are not running currently. I feel we've got a lot going on in Laramie County, and working together, 5 individuals need to work together. Got to have diverse ideas, but at the same time, they need to work together over the next 4 years with all the new things that we do have coming about in Laramie County. I've been known professionally as a facilitator. I worked with all of the candidates the last round to work together to make it a clean race Ace, and May the Best Individuals won, and I think we got three very good commissioners in the last go-around. There'll be 3 this time. I do say right up front, I'm a big advocate of Troy Thompson. We'll have 2 new commissioners, or we could have 3 new commissioners, which means we'd have 5 new commissioners in 2 years in the county commission. So I do believe that Troy Thompson, first and foremost, should be reelected as a county commissioner. And based upon that, I believe you as the voters should select individuals that can work with Troy, Amber, and Buck over the next 2 to 4 years to be able to proceed and prosper in Laramie County.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Kurt Wilson, and thank you for the invite. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
I think you have to speak into a microphone in order to be picked up for the recording, so just make sure you have a microphone pretty close.
All right. My main reason for running for county commissioner is, as Mr. Hansen, I think we need 5 commissioners that can work together and make an effective government for this time in Laramie County that we're building with the oil industry, the mineral industry, and we need to make sure that everything is run effectively. I'll be an advocate for the Laramie County employees. I've worked for Laramie County for 23 years. I still work here, and we have a lot of experience walking out the door, and we need to make that stop. We need to keep these quality people here working for us, not going somewhere else. Next concern I have is for our public roads with the increased traffic with the mineral industry. They're really getting overused, and it's tough for Public Works to keep up. So that needs to be addressed. And also on that is we have a lot of subdivisions in eastern Laramie County. I'm not real familiar with western Laramie County. I mainly work out east, but the subdivisions out there have private roads. And what's going to happen to those when they start putting in oil wells in those areas? Last thing I'd like to talk about is the Laramie County Fair. We've in 2 separate places. We need to get that consolidated, get it moved out to Archer. It's an awesome facility, and our children deserve to have their county fair in one place. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Ms. Lummis.
Thank you. I echo what the other candidates have said. My interest in running is because Diane is retiring. There is an open seat, and I would like to have it. I've been behind the scenes for over 45 years politically, working for many candidates, including Diane. We painted her first set of signs in the shop at my dad's. So I have always been interested, but never up front. My experience that I could offer comes from working here in government, and I had a business, and a lot of volunteering. I've raised a lot of money for nonprofits in Laramie County. I care about this place, and I would appreciate everyone's consideration when you're voting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Linda Heath, please.
Good evening, Marguerite. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. Yeah, George Washington didn't ask to become president. He didn't even run to become president. His name was put forward by the public, by his friends, and they continued to put his name forward until finally he became president. And that's kind of the way it's been for me. 2 years ago, in fact 3 years ago, I was asked by friends to run, and I had a whole year to think about it before throwing my name in the hat. Following the primary 2 years ago in 2012, those friends came to me again and said, "Will you please run again?" And you know, it's a time commitment for the family, and it was something that we really had to stop and think about as to whether or not we wanted to commit to another race. The decision was made to go ahead and do it. I continued doing what I had been doing during the primary season, and that was attending the local meetings, the meetings here at the commissioners' offices, the meetings out in the public as much as I could possibly attend. Have been out in the communities in Albin and Pine Bluffs and Burns, visiting with the town councils. I know what their issues are out there. Have attended several of the water district meetings that the state engineer's office has had. And over that time, I have learned that one of the things that you have to be as a commissioner is you have to be a thinker, a listener, and be able to deliberate on the information that you are given, and you're going to have to listen to both sides of the issue. You can't ignore it. You know, I think it's important that as a commissioner that you do listen to the people, and you have to abide by what the state statutes say, and sometimes it's difficult to find that line.
Okay, thank you very much. Those were the introductory comments. Now we're going to move into questions that were composed by a committee of the League of Women Voters of Cheyenne. And again, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start now with Mr. Hanson as we kind of stagger the process here. And you'll have a minute and a half to answer. Again, our timekeeper will we'll let you know when you're getting close. So a minute and a half. The first question is, and this everyone will get this question, what responsibility does the County Commission have to plan and regulate development for the benefit of county residents?
They have very large responsibility due to the planning department out at the Archer. They've already, I mean, this has been underway, Diane. The crew have already got this established. Working, my big concern is working with the people when we have to have changes, when there needs to be changes in plans, but more importantly, actually doing the planning in advance so that we don't have to go back to the individual residents because they've got grandfather rights and try and make changes as the city grows. Bottom line. I am a proponent of grandfather rights for all residents in Laramie County, and if there's going to be any changes made that would impact those grandfather rights, that's where really a leader comes into play, sitting down with the residents, with the county, with the city if they're involved, and actually working out a plan that will accommodate all.
Thank you very much, and I've just had a notice that the name cards are obscuring people's faces, so I'm going to take, give me 5 seconds to fix it, and then we'll continue there. What I was thinking.
Just want it down. Oh, you want it down?
Sometimes you need a dress rehearsal.
Proper planning.
Thank you for indulging. Mr. Wilson, I'll go ahead and ask the question again. What responsibility does the County Commission have to plan and regulate development for the benefit of county residents? A minute and a half.
I think the commissioners have a huge role to play in economic development. I think we're on the right track. I think that with the Archer Complex, the infrastructure that was put in out there was a good move. And I feel that the commission should continue on with getting businesses interested in moving to Laramie County so we can keep our young folks here in Laramie County working. With that, though, I think the commissioners need to make sure that this development is controlled to protect everyone's personal and property rights. Back to the roads, where we're allowing these subdivisions to come in, and we're taking the taxes off of all these new homes and everything, and the roads are private, left up for those individuals to maintain. That needs to be fixed. And I think it's an exciting time, and we have a lot to look forward to, and I think it'll be a fun time the next 10, 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lummis, would you like to have the question repeated? Okay, a minute and a half. Thank you.
Planning is crucial. I advocate it. within the existing laws. I don't think we need more laws. I don't think we need to have our thumb on people, but we do have to plan. Laramie County's really growing. If you drive around, it's surprising. There's something going on weekly, seemingly. Take a look at everything south of Fox Farm Road. That is a prime example of land that several years ago was just modest homes, and my word, it's amazing. I'm in agreement with the other two gentlemen. I feel like I just need to say ditto. We do have to be concerned about roads and how we're going to accommodate these people as the subdivisions are taken in to the county. How is the county going to deal with it, with the demands that county roads put forward? But yes, planning is crucial.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Heath, would you like me to repeat the question? Or okay, thank you. A minute and a half.
Yeah, the commission cannot control how people divide their land. And when they're presented with a subdivision plan, they are charged with enforcing the regulations that are in the comprehensive plan that has been put together with the planning department. The commissioners are also charged with protecting the private property rights of all individuals, developer and neighbors alike. And as far as zoning is concerned, the only place that I feel that we need zoning is here within the 5-mile limit around Cheyenne. We have a denser population, therefore you have a far more likelihood that you are going to have conflicts between neighbors as to how land is used. You have industrial possibilities, you have high, medium density possibilities. These things all have to be worked out within a zoning plan. As far as the county is concerned, I don't think that's a battle that the commissioners want to fight in putting zoning out in the county.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Hasenauer.
Yeah, planning's important as long as it's done at the local level. It's when you take federal funding that they have the strings attached and the regulations that go along with it. Private property rights are king here. The founding forefathers said if you would own a piece of America, then you will love America. And you will respect your neighbor's rights too because they have them also. So protecting our property rights is king in any planning. And I think Laramie County's working toward getting a great planning department out there. With a couple of new hires, their responsible is to getting building permits out as quick as they can and make it less burden on our residents who are trying to build in Laramie County. We also need a plan that protects our Western heritage. We want people to come here and assimilate in what we are, not change us to what some other state wants us to be. But the plan has to include our Western heritage and how we are as a community. Plans are important, but they need to be our plans, and we need to grow on our terms. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, does anyone want to add anything to responding to what any other candidate has said? Raise your hand, and you'll have a couple of seconds to do that. Nope. All right, we'll move on to the second question then. Thank you. Do you favor, and this will be starting with Mr. Wilson, do you favor further development at the Archer Complex now or later or at all? You've kind of already addressed this, but maybe you can formalize it. Should development include an exhibition hall that could be used for the county fair and other events? How would it be funded? Explain.
Yes. I think we have a great thing going with the Archer Complex, where it was designed to place businesses out there. I think that should continue. It's in the county. I like that. It's further east. I like that. That's where my priorities lie for the most part right now. As far as the exhibition hall is a must, I feel. I was out and visited with Mr. Ketchum a couple of weeks ago. They have taken their plan from, I believe it was $21 million, down to 7.3 to build a new facility out there. along with the landscaping. It's a beautiful concept. I really like it. It puts all the fair in one spot at one time. And it gets kind of confusing for people I've talked to over the years, where you have the shooting sports at one time and dog show at another and the horse show at another and then Frontier Days. And I think we can take it out of the original budget as long as it's looked at correctly. And I'm not against revisiting the 6 penny for the Archer Complex. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Lummis, where do you stand on the Archer Complex question?
Absolutely must do. The master plan out there is perfect. I love it. I advocate it, not only for the fair, which is extremely needed. Mr. Wilson is absolutely 100% right. It needs to be done. I think that the other events that could be using that fairgrounds are limitless. So many groups in Cheyenne are looking for a place to have things. And there's already a lot going on out there of the groups that have found it and found it to be workable for them and affordable. I really think that completing the fairground is essential. I look at it as a community place, not just a fairgrounds. In some ways, calling it a fairgrounds limits it, if you know where I am here. In some counties, rural counties, you can get people to donate buildings. That's a possibility. The 6 penny is also a possibility. You'd have to resell it again. But I highly advocate completing the county fair.
Thank you. Ms. Heath.
Yes, to the first two questions, yes, I support the Archer Complex and building an exhibit hall out there. I also believe that it has a lot of potential to be a great asset to this community for economic development, as well as for varying events that the community could hold out there. For instance, an inside graduation place for Central, East, and South, as well as a larger location for LCCC. As far as the funding is concerned for the grounds out there and building the, moving the fair out there, I would look at sale of property. There's already been some property that's been sold and that money's been set aside. That could be used out there as a possibility. We could look at the sale of the land that the county owns up at Frontier Days grounds as another little addition to the kitty. We could look at grants. We can look at sponsorships through corporations, private donations as well. The county needs to get some skin in the game, and as a last resort, the 6 penny tax.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hazenauer.
Yes, the development out at the Orchard is already underway. We currently have the gun range, the Public Works, the Sheriff's Department, impound lot, the Juvenile Center. We're talking about putting a CNG gas plant out there. A lot of things are going on already. As far as the fair moving out there, absolutely yes, but we have to have a plan that not only builds the building and a nut and bolts building, but what is going to be the operating cost per year. I'm not in favor for anything if it doesn't have a plan to figure out how we're going to pay for it year to year. So it has to be a multi-use building. We have sold some other property that could be an avenue, but I think it comes down to the naming rights. A big business that's here, if they wanted to put their name over the building and help fund that project, that's the way it's going to be built. Also, the $800,000 we give for Orchard was a great investment, and now we have property that we can sell that's outside the circle limits of what we've already taken. Some of that property sale can be used to fund the fair moving out there. I'm in favor of it because state statute backs it up, and it is for Laramie County kids. So as long as we're doing it with common sense and being fiscally conservative, I'm in favor of it.
All right. Mr. Hanson.
Yes, I'm definitely in favor of the Archer, both personally, but because of the residents in the county. Hey, there again, though, if there's any funding that's going to come from the six-penny, it's got to be up to the voters, and that's where marketing comes in. You know, we have Jeff out there. It's his job to aggressively market, not only for the benefit using the funds from the six-penny, but also from vendors. I personally was the facilitator for the initial the first platinum sponsor to Cheyenne Frontier Days. There's over $400,000 a year spent out there just for Frontier Days from one of our local banks. And aggressive marketing with Jeff F. and his group, if they really got after the program as far as the follow-up upon the program. And to back up a step, I am in favor of not downsizing what is the master plan out there. We spent good money to actually determine what was needed, and had it been properly presented to the public in a proper format and not in competition with other projects, had it been laid out a little bit better, or I believe it would have passed. And therefore it's the follow-up, the maintenance on it, and that's where it comes through, again, through sponsorship, but through marketing, and that can be done through proper planning.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add anything to what's been said? Respond? Yes? 15 seconds.
Yeah, we've already got a semantic design, and it came back to $6 million first phase. It wasn't the $22 million project that we were going to put on the ballot in, I think it was 2010 that it was voted down. I'm in favor of building the fair, but not putting it on the backs of the taxpayers. We have to come up with some naming rights and use some of the funding from the building and the property out to Frontier Days Park to get it out there. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much. And now we'll begin with Ms. Lummis with this question. Would you favor some means of requiring energy companies to maintain and improve county roads impacted by energy development?
If allowable by state law. And I have to tell you, I am not familiar with the state law regarding that, but I am really advocate doing what we're supposed to do by state law. Some years ago, I was privileged to be one of two people that went to Niobrara County to run their treasurer's office when the office was left empty. And we had to go up there and take over, see if there were any losses, balance everything, run the office, wait for a new person to be appointed, and train her. How did we do that? We put the statutes on a table in the back, and we read them sometimes 10 times a day. Follow the statutes. If the state will allow us to do that, yes. If the state won't allow us to do that, then I'm not sure what recourse the county would have.
All righty. Thank you. Ms. Heath, County Roads and Energy.
You know, many of those energy companies already have road use agreements with the county. It's in their best interest to take care of those roads, and it also makes for good fences with the neighbors, so to speak. You know, one of the things that the county fights with our roads is that it's supported by the mineral severance tax. And when you look at the requirements or what the law reads as far as statutes in Wyoming is concerned, that mineral severance tax could be as much as 2 years from coming into the county from oil that was pumped today. And so when you look at the impact on our roads today, our mineral severance tax, as it is dispersed to the counties, is not going to help us with our problem today. So it's in the best interest of those energy companies to come up with a road use agreement so that they can help keep their product going to market as well as keeping their neighbors happy.
Thank you. Mr. Hazenauer.
Yeah, we've got a bang going on in Laramie County with our oil industry, but thank God we're becoming energy independent as a country. We want to step back and out of the road so they can do that. But if it becomes a boom, that could change things. The road use lease agreements that we have now, they pay some fair share of the tax. Roads are a bad issue when you've got 9 inches of rain in September and 135% snowpack like we had this year. And a lot of these trucks are using public roads that the county has to maintain. So if we get anything more from the state, it has to be, again, allocated, earmarked for material, not for personnel and not for machinery, so we can keep up with them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Well, to put it in simple terms, I think Diane and Troy, and I believe it was Jeff back then, started the process of setting up agreements with oil companies, and the process is underway. I think it needs to be reviewed from time to time. I aim to see if, in fact, we're getting the maximum bang for our buck, the maximum dollar from these companies, because we do have companies in and out rather quickly. So, again, through proper planning and following up what was already done by Diane and Troy, I think we can get additional funding for the roads. And like Linda said, the funds that come from the oil is down the road a ways, but it will be here, and it will help on roads. So I think they're doing a good job currently in assessing and collecting additional fees for roads, but there's always room for improvement.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, I agree that we continue on with what has been going on. It's was set up already, but I've been working with these individuals for the last several years in my law enforcement capacity. What I have found, the horror stories we heard a few years ago about North Dakota, that's not happening here. These folks are very cooperative. They want to come in here. They want to do their job. They're just like us. And as long as we continue to be fair with them and visit with them and let them know our expectations, I don't see any problems at all.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the fourth question from the league, and we'll see how much time is left, and then we'll move to questions from the audience here. Regarding the fifth penny, and this will be starting with Ms. Heath. Regarding the fifth penny, should the county be more transparent with the public before the election in the projects to be funded and accounting for the collections and spending afterwards?
Yeah, I think the county does a very good job right now of being transparent with their fifth penny, because they were right up front. They say so much is going to roads, so much is going to public works, so much is going to the library, so much is going here. And so if all you have to do is to find out what the amount that's been collected on the fifth penny, and you can do the percentage work yourself and figure out how much is going where. The fifth penny has become a very vital part of the budget as far as many of our departments is concerned, and it's something that I believe that we need to continue on supporting. If we didn't have that fifth penny, 68% of our public works fund would go away. If we're having problems with our roads, imagine taking 68% of the fifth penny away from our roads now. The library is another one of those areas that receives money. Our law enforcement receives money out of that fifth penny, and they use it for their vehicles. It's a very important part of the county budget.
Thank you. Mr. Hasenauer.
Yeah, being transparent is also some personal responsibility to voters to get involved with the system and find out where your fifth penny money's going. Like Linda said, 68% goes to roads. We definitely see that as a need and not a want. Sometimes fifth penny projects, I'm not so vocal on, I'm not big on taxes, but I do feel that you have the right to go to the polls and decide whether you want this tax or not. There was some discussion that since it passes by such a large margin that we just do it by resolution. I would stand up against that. I want the people to have a chance to vote on it every time and decide their own destiny on the fifth penny tax. We do need to spend it more wisely too, but every time we talk about, well, we need more money for roads this year, 69%, then the big question is, who are you going to face and say your department has to take 1% less? That's always the tough way with it. But it is up to the voters here to vote it in. It is the county commissioner's job to spend it wisely.
Mr. Hanson.
As far as the transparency, I think Deb Lathrop does an absolutely awesome job of providing information to the public whenever they go down there, and it is very transparent. The percentages, as everyone has already said, is locked in, and the little bit that's left for miscellaneous projects are noted in the minutes. And if the residents of Laramie County actually wanted more transparency placed in the paper at an expense, or put it online if they wanted it that way, then I haven't had anybody ask me for that. But if they did, then it's our responsibility to provide that service to the public.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
I haven't had anybody visit with me about the fifth penny at all. I think it's very popular with our county, just from the results of the last election on it. I think that transparency-wise, it is, I don't know what more we could do to put that information out there. What concerns me, I'm not big on taxes. The fifth penny, when it came along, was called an optional tax. Well, it's no longer optional. Can we do away with 68% of our public works budget? Absolutely not. We'd crash. So I think we need to have the commission watching this very closely to make sure that the sixth penny doesn't go down the same road the fifth penny has.
Thank you. Ms. Lummis.
This is an easy one. I have no problems with the transparency. I've never heard any complaints about it. I've never had any complaints about it. And everyone's answer on this call or this board tonight is correct. I think that we are very open in county government.
Thank you. And does anyone have anything to add in light of anyone's answers? Alrighty. At this point, we'll go to some questions from the audience, and we don't have many, so if you have that burning question, now is the time to bring it forward, and we'll try to get it answered now or on our voter's guide. So let me see. There was one that came up early. And I guess, since we'll sort of repeat, I guess Mr. Hasenauer would be the first one for this one. What is your vision for county employees?
We have some of the best county employees in the nation. They provide a service to get out everything that has been asked and put on them. We are, though, approaching close to $20 million in personnel cost. I think it's raised from 18.2 and is closing in on $20 million personnel costs. That's a concern of mine. If we continue to give the raises, then we got to continue to find some sort of funding. Right now we're doing well. There was 5 or 6 years ago that we were not doing well, and there was a hiring freeze. So our employees are great. We ask a lot of them. They do a wonderful job. Public Works, for instance, was working some 7 days a week for 2 weeks straight trying to get roads repaired back in February when the flooding was occurring. These are great employees. They deserve a pat on the back. I really appreciate our employees in Laramie County.
Mr. Hanson.
I've managed hundreds of offices, thousands of employees for 28 years. And in my experience working with everybody over the last 2.5 years while getting involved in the county commission, I learned rather quickly that the employees of Laramie County work very hard and they're underpaid, bottom line. It's not a matter of how much they make or how big the budget is. As one of my lead principles is lean. You actually improve efficiency to increase productivity. And by doing that, you release funds, make funds available that was never available before. If the commission worked more diligently on providing the funds or working with the funds to make it available, that money would be available for raises. I think the current commission did an excellent job in setting up a structured raise process, actually getting one initiated. I know it had been tried for years past to try and figure out ways, and currently there is a way to give more income to the existing employees, and it's staggered out to where it should continue, and it's up to the commissioners to actually make that money available all to serve the needs of the county employees.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
When I first announced I was running for county commissioner, and I said that I was for the employees and that we need to take care of the employees, everybody thought that my main goal was to get a raise. I've been here for 23 years. I'm not going anywhere. If I do, it's going to be retirement. Right now at the Sheriff's Department, we have 13 pay levels with about $40 in between each level. That's ridiculous. It should be reassessed, looked at, and so that these younger people that have less time have a reason to stay in Laramie County. Not old guys like me, because I've been here. I'm not going anywhere. So it's not all just about money. If we treat our people like they make a difference, guess what? They will.
Thank you. Ms. Lummis.
I agree with that. I was a county employee also. The biggest problem that I saw when I was working for the county was no communication. I promise the county employees an open door.
Thank you.
We have great county employees. They work hard, and many times they're selfless in the time that they give. I think that the plan to go to the merit pay is a great idea. Those employees who are really busting their butts and working hard every day need to be awarded. I think the communication is a good idea, not just a good idea, it's a must, an absolute must. And it's not just you can come to my office, but I can come to yours. And we can sit down and we can talk about what's going on. And I think that's an absolute must. And above all, we need to treat them with respect.
Thank you. And anyone want a brief response time? Yes.
Yeah, I have given merit pay raises, and I've given critical position raises. Sometimes we have to have an identification of the qualification of the job, and there is great employees out there that deserve a move up if they are producing a lot for Laramie County, and that comes and falls under that merit pay, which I'm in favor of.
All righty. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'll say quite frankly, there are a few questions that pertain to particularly one of the candidates up there, Mr. Hazenauer, but about decorum and how you treat departments and divisions of the county government, making sure you treat them with respect, and it uses the word bullying. But what I would like to do, instead of zeroing in on one candidate, and some of you referenced it in your opening comments about decorum and the behavior and how you would relate as board members to the other departments of the county government. You set their budgets, and you do have quite a bit of authority. How would you relate to them? How would you relate to your fellow board members? So I know that's kind of on the fly, sort of adapting this, but it is a question that apparently there's some interest in. So I guess, Mr. Hanson, if that's, do you understand the question? Just it's relating to others.
Well, being respectful of the current commission and everything that's going on, I'd just like to say that I truly believe that the individuals that become commissioners should have the knowledge and should have the people skills. We shouldn't have to send them to school for people skills. That's something that should come as a prerequisite, as a qualification. And if we have an issue there, that's something that needs to be addressed. And this time around, that's what the residents being able to vote is all about. Is being able to choose 3 individuals that will work with the current individuals and show respect for the employees of Laramie County, but also show respect for the voters. They've got to have the skill and the knowledge base to do so. So, like I've said to many people, this isn't about me. This is about the residents of Laramie County, and this is about the voters making a decision as to who do they want to lead, actually, which individual has leadership skills to be able to lead, aid, and show respect to all the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, we need 5 commissioners that can work together, get along, and move forward. And we do need strong leadership, somebody that can compromise on issues and work with the other 4 commissioners for the benefit of this county. As far as it comes to the departments or the different departments, well, there shouldn't really be in a commissioner's mind, this department, that department, because everybody in the county works for those 5 commissioners, and they all should be looked at equally and treated equally.
Thank you. Ms. Lummis?
You're both right. I'm on the Board of Trustees at Laramie County Community College, a very diverse group. We determined in just our private conversations, one for all and all for one. You have to make your decisions as a group, irregardless of how you feel about other people. And you're there for the institution. You're not there for yourself. You're not there for any personal agenda. You're there to run the county. That means everything and everybody in the county.
Thank you. Ms. Heath?
This is a question we could discuss and talk about all night long, I think. I said earlier that if I am elected, my door is open and I would be willing to come down and talk to the county employees. The county employees do work for the commissioners, but they also work for the people of Laramie County. They're the ones that deal with the residents of Laramie County on a daily basis. And as such, they deserve respect. This morning I had a thought as I was getting ready for tonight, and I was humbled by the thought that tonight, instead of sitting out there where you are, I would be sitting up here looking at you. This is a seat of power up here. And what the commissioners do up here affects everybody in Laramie County. And I respect the office of the county commissioners and what they do. And if I can respect the office, I can respect the employees and the residents of Laramie County as well.
Thank you. Mr. Hasenauer?
Yeah, you don't take 7,600 signatures for a petition drive unless you're friendly, you're honest, and you're approachable. I smile. I don't have a cuss word in my mouth, but I still tell them no sometimes. As a commission board, we can't all say yes, yes, yes to everything. There's going to be some disagreements. But I have learned over the last 2 years to have more respect for those that disagree with me than ever thought I could. I really appreciate the board that we have, and I appreciate the opportunity to express my points of view too. And sometimes those points get heated. But when we're behind this diocese, Emily Hasenauer has a 100% record of being here to vote on the issues that matter most to Laramie County. Do I love our employees? Yes. I love people because I'm a people person. Thank you.
Does anyone want to add anything to that or respond or add to what their comments? Okay. Well, that concludes the questions part of this, and we'll have 2-minute closing from everyone. Thank you for coming. If I don't have a chance to thank you at the end, and I will re-announce those rebroadcast dates. Since we started with Mr. Hanson just now, we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Wilson. It's a 2-minute summing up. Everyone will have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. As I've told you at the beginning, I've worked here for Laramie County for 23 years, and I've decided that, I've reached my goal in law enforcement in my time, and now I'd like to continue to serve as a county commissioner. I do bring to the table a lot of leadership experience, my 23 years with the Army National Guard, to include leadership experience in Iraq in a combat situation. Work well under pressure. I've been doing it a long time. And I appreciate your vote. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Lummis.
Thanks for having us. It is an important time in our country, and it trickles down to here, locally. I also care about this county, or I wouldn't be here. Going through this isn't exactly fun. I'm really glad the voting starts on Thursday. But it is a process, and we would not be here putting ourselves out to all of you if we didn't care, if we didn't want the job, if we weren't willing to do the job and go through this process. So I give to you my good name, all the experience I've got working and volunteering in Laramie County, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Heath.
I kind of alluded to my closing a little bit ago. I've been struck with the responsibility of what the commission does, and it would indeed be an honor from the voters to be elected to the position of commissioner, but with that honor comes great responsibility. And if I am elected, that will always be in the forefront of my mind. I have learned to be deliberate in my decision making in many ways over the last 2 years, and considering various viewpoints. I'm a small business owner, and I understand the challenges that small businesses face every day. I support the constitutions of the United States and Wyoming, and I will be an advocate for personal responsibility, not expecting government to solve all of our problems. That in itself will help to keep government smaller. I've been deliberate in learning how the process of county government works over the past 2 years, and have begun to develop relationships with those people that I would be working with. And I realize that there will be differing opinions as we sit across the table, but we can work on our common goals and discuss those differing opinions later. That same goes for the voters who would elect me to office if I am elected. Again, it's a completely new experience to sit on this side of the dais. That railing is quite a divider in many ways. You will be loaning me the power as a commissioner if I am elected. I promise to respect that, whether you're a county employee or whether you're a resident of Laramie County. I appreciate your support and hope that you will vote for me in the primary beginning this week.
Thank you. Mr. Hasenauer.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity always to speak to the true bosses of Laramie County. This is a people's government, and this is a government that you participate in to get as much out of it as you can. That's been my goal all along. As a nation, we have not become a superpower, and we ain't the greatest nation ever in the history of Earth because of what government's done. It's using our freedom, our initiatives, our passion, our desires, our values, our morality. This is what made us the greatest nation on the earth, the face of the earth. It'll be conservative leadership you'll get, it'll be constitutional, and it'll be following the black letter of the law. And we have to add the common sense. That's what solves the problems, and that is the solution for Laramie County. I don't know everybody's position up here all the way, just in a few minutes of debate, but it's M. Lee Hasenauer for sure. Please vote for me 2014.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson.
Again, thank all of you actually for sitting there, taking the time to listen to us and taking an interest in our government. You know, we're neighbors. We're all neighbors. We're all residents of Laramie County, and we're all voters. And all I'm asking you is to take a good hard look and choose 3 individuals that will work together with the 2 existing ones. But more importantly, when you leave here, talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends, get the communication going about getting a level of interest on who's actually going to be leading your county, so it's not just up to a bunch of signs on the road with names on them, that people take the time to take a look at all these individuals. We've got some great candidates out here on the floor, up here on the podium. You know, it's a matter of choosing 3 individuals that will work together and will serve you as residents of Laramie County and take good care of your neighbors. So thanks a bunch.
And I couldn't have said it better. As the league says, be informed and vote. If you have more questions for these candidates, I'm sure they'll make themselves available to you. And again, we will follow up with an online voter's guide. If you have questions that you want to submit, you'd like to submit to the to the candidates, lwvcheyenne@gmail.com, and we will certainly accept questions. And again, we may edit and consolidate, but we'd sure like to hear from you. And just real briefly, this forum will be rebroadcast Saturday, July 12th at 11 a.m. Tomorrow night we have a forum for 3 county offices, district attorney, county clerk, and sheriff. And then on Thursday we'll follow with legislative races that will be on your ballot here in Laramie County. And to conclude, I'd like to give the candidates, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Marguerite, I'd just like to say you were a candidate 2 years ago. You were part of the big team, and I wanted to say thank you for you staying involved, you staying aware, and you actually working with this League of Women Voters and making this available for everybody. Thanks.
Well, thank you, and thank the candidates for coming. Thank you very much. Okay, and we'll try to convene the next.
See you later, Emily.
10 minutes. Give everyone a chance to use the bathroom.
Oh, no. A little crowded. Good job. Well said.
Thank you.